Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm Connor Cummings. It is Saturday, Discovery Saturday. It's going to be exciting. Stuart, what are we doing?
We're going to discover things.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, on Wednesday we did a mission briefing on the wireframe we saw of the Defiant. We kind of talked about it, speculated about it, and we wanted to do that in a little bit more detail. And Samuel had the brilliant idea of carving up some ships and making this thing come to life in a more realistic visual way that we can all appreciate. So
Yes.
let's hear his process and hear what exactly we're going to be looking at today.
Let's jump to the guy that beat me to it first. Next picture is a picture by the wonderful Shay Walker, who released this image on the Trekyards page and around on the internet like the next day. I mean, the dedication of this guy to try and visualize it. And it's a wonderful put-together creation. But I looked and I thought, it's tremendous, but it's not canon-looking enough. Because the fact is, right, it should look like the TOS Connie, but changed pieces. So that's how I wanted to approach doing a kit bash.
And I was going to say, his version is great, but he's missing a few things that when you really get up close and look at the wireframe in more detail, he's missing a few elements that are there, so...
Because we sat on Skype as I was building it, and you were looking at it as I was building it, and you say, oh, look at that. Like, oh, that is a thing. And that is a thing. So I went ahead, and here is the next picture, the Uss Defiant. Now, the genius of doing it this way is that this is actually the actual Uss Defiant from Interior Darkly that we use on the show to show scale charts. This is the literal, real canon Defiant, which I've then cut up and changed pieces and made it. Stuart, what do you think now? Fully realised with just texture.
Well, it's cool to see it in all its 3D glory. It's cool that it's actually the Defiant that you use too, which is nice.
It's what they would have done on the show. Literally in the universe, they would have ripped apart the Defiant and made the new Defiant, and that's what I did. Whoops.
And yeah, we did talk about it via Skype when you were doing it, some of it anyway. And you did do a lot of changing to dimensions and proportions and just to make it fit that wireframe look. And I gotta say, not a huge fan of it. I mean, it looks very cool. Your version looks awesome, but I'm just what they did to it. But then again, in the 3D environment, when you see it from different angles, it's like this really pops. This really works. But we're gonna get to those, I'm sure.
Yeah, this is not its best angle, but I mean it's fascinating because as soon as you give it that canon skin, it's like again the whole point of me doing this exercise was what would it look like if they actually did take the pieces and made a new pylon matrix, ripped out stuff of the hull, made the impulse engine bigger, but use all the same technology. So suddenly it doesn't necessarily look any better, but it feels right. But because it's all the right colours, all the right pennants, all the right proportions-ish, it's like it suddenly has a certain feel. That's where the wireframe lets it down a little bit because you can't get that sense. And so I was kind of like, oh, it's not actually too bad. I mean, the sleekness of a lot of the new shapes is interesting, But for the audience out there that haven't dissected it, list out some of the obvious changes, Stuart, and then you can sort of see them back side by side of the two.
Yeah, we'll start from the front and just move our way back, I guess. The first three most noticeable things are the cutouts in the saucer. Mm-hmm. And as you pointed out, it's where window placements are on the model. So we're not exactly sure what's in there, so it's just been filled in with hull. It could be a weapon of some sort, some kind of sensor, maybe just a bigger window. I don't know. It could be a lot of things, but and it definitely extends back down the saucer too.
Yeah, there's this weird trench they've added, which is an interesting detail to wireframe back in. But yeah, it literally is because again, real model, you can look and there are windows there. It's just taking out some of the windows, and it's like, there's some reason behind that. It's not just, let's put holes. No, they've removed those functional areas, and I postulated, like you said, there could be new torpedo tubes, because, well, we'll get to phases later, but if they're new torpedoes and there's a new phase on the struts, then you've increased the offensive arsenal by ship. Of the ship quite a lot, and they're a bit more protected by being in these recessed areas. Maybe that was my trying to make it fit, but just cutting them out doesn't really add anything to the shape. It's just sort of that's the thing. If they hadn't changed that, I would have been more okay with the design because that doesn't seem to have a reason. Yeah. What else, Stuart?
One of the less noticeable things on the saucer itself is the expanded impulse engine deck at the back.
Yeah.
It is visible here. We'll see it better in other pictures coming up, obviously.
Yeah.
But it does take a keen eye to kind of zoom in on that wireframe and see those kind of things. So there's that added. The neck's also been shortened. I mean, the neck in the wireframe seems more curved. Even the leading edge is curved a little bit, and it's kind of contoured up to join the saucer and stuff. But
a little bit far for me to do for this one. I can kit bash, but I can't rebuild.
Yeah.
And it's probably a little bit thicker than my version as well. And obviously, you got the deflector, which I noted feels more ribbed. That's not necessarily the right word, but it feels more layered. It's no longer got the standard, ring and then different grooves. So I sort of added a secondary deflector dish inside of the deflector dish housing to create like a leveling effect. And obviously the two prongs, which is what we see in the Columbia, which is a ship that they were using at the time in the Mirror Universe, but also they're using on Discovery ships, which in themselves are over 100 years older tech than the Defiant. So you wouldn't go back to that, but it links visually to the Discovery tech of the day, which is wrong, but double prong, which actually looks pretty cool in this model, I think, and in other views it looks even better. But, hey. What else, Stuart?
And, of course, one of the most noticeable things that almost everybody noticed right away, the struts, the angled struts, thicker at the bottom, and then like a mega phaser or some kind of attachment in the
that's
middle.
what we're saying, because it makes sense. It could be nothing, could be everything, but that, I literally used the Miranda style, I literally took the Miranda pod off the phaser, and it kind of works, actually, I think, when you integrate like that, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, functionally, the rationale being that, okay, you have to design new conduits to allow the power to go into mega phasers. So you've got to redesign the struts.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And speaking of struts, they lead to nacelles, and these nacelles are turned sideways because, again, if you look at the wireframe, you can see that the end caps seem to be turned, and also that the cooling fins at the back there, there's actually one on the bottom and on the top.
Yes.
Now, as I pointed out with the wireframe earlier, it seems like there's something attached to the secondary hull in the middle, kind of like a fin of some sort, but somebody else speculated that it's probably just a fin on the other nacelle. I don't know about that. If the fins are turned that way, I'm not necessarily sure it would show up like that and be that prominent on the wireframe, but we decided not to include it because we had it on there for a minute and it just,
It can actually look cool, but it's one of those things that we can't really justify it. But if it is the other thing, they're adding something random for no reason. So it's like, okay, fine.
Well, that's what they would do, though.
Well, okay, fair enough. And the nacelles, and we'll see comparison pictures in a minute, but the facades have been stretched out a little bit. I've done it a little bit too much, I think, but there's a vibe there. The nacelles are a bit longer, a bit more pulled in, and you can tell, like you say, I mean, you pointed out the nacelles are on their side. Those end caps are obviously on their side. Like, they're not, it's just rotated sideways. That's how they're obviously vibing, so I did that as well for this. But it was a fun thing. But now then, Stuart, let's go beyond the wireframe, because that's really not as interesting as it could be. So let's go, and again, guys, conceptual version. It's not going to look like this probably, because they're going to do their own random hull texture, which is just their own invention, and who knows what the details, and the source obviously isn't changed from the top. But this is from what we do know. Let's see how it looks like from other angles. So from, Stuart, the top, and you can really see all the other details. Now we're going outside of the cannon to new cannon, using cannon to show cannon. What do you think, Stuart, now this new angle?
There's a lot of words there.
I know.
This is pretty cool. This is an angle that really works for me. I do kind of dig the vibe that I'm getting here from everything I'm seeing. Even the nacelle detail being on the top, that looks really cool. I mean, not necessarily sure it would be that way. They might turn it in. We don't know, as he said, but everything works here. Even the angle of those struts, the way they change their angle kind of midway, and the large impulse deck looks really cool from the back. I gotta say, I'm really digging this view of the ship.
And that's the thing, perspective is absolutely everything. They say some of the Trek ships don't look good from angles. Well, here it is, and again, obviously conceptual, all our own thing, but you give it the TOS real vibe. Yeah, it's like, okay, I mean, the fact is, though, when we kept doing change after change after change, they accumulate, Yeah. That saucer, I've actually, it's a little bit thinner, I've shrunk it, it's a lot further down. Those changes all together give a whole different feel, and while we associate it with just that's a conning, no, the entire feel is different. The engines seem, it's broader and it's sleeker. I think it really is sleeker, the whole thing. I'm sorry, but it is.
It's rad, man.
It is. Even the secondary hull, the angle in the bottom has been pulled a bit, and I've also squished the secondary hull. So everything has been pushed and pulled, and to be sleeker, to be more. and it does make it feel a bit, not necessarily faster, but refined a tad, as if the way I postulated in the original episode was that they want to develop towards, say, Warp 5 engine. You know, they can upgrade it a little bit, and so to get those speeds, they have to use what they have and then bring it all the way down into the hull a bit more like the Enterprise E, you know, to get that smaller warp profile, and then that's how you do it. And it kind of works.
Could be, yeah. But yeah, I really like this. I even like the elongated end caps.
Yeah.
It's just, it all works together, and it does look very sleek,
fast.
dare I say. Yeah. Very fast, yeah.
And the angles on the saucer, you know, the angles of the cutouts, if they were weapons, then you've got interesting fields of, you know, arcs, but if you're turning at all, they could be really important. So it's kind of like, and again, if these are actually phasers that are inside the struts, then you've now got aft torpedoes, aft phasers, both directional heavy phasers, 3 further forward torpedo tubes, and who knows what else. Might have had some neck-based torpedo launchers in the back. We don't know, we didn't see the back. So I mean, you could, simple ways to really kit out the vessel and yet give it a slightly different feel. So I don't know.
And it makes sense for that culture, obviously. So so yes, the next shot is from the other side. Here again, I think the shapes hold up. It looks really cool. The end caps look a little bit silly and wonky on this angle.
They are literally just stretched though, so I mean it's a kit bash.
But no, I think this is actually kind of cool. I do like the more squat profile of this ship. I think we're going to see that later when there's a side by side. But and not every ship is great from every angle. We've learned this doing this show for sure. But when you move it in 3D, there are certain angles that are just beautiful. They just really pop. And this is one of those, I think, in my opinion. And it's hard to make the Constitution, the TOS one, look bad, really, because it's one of those ones I find, personally, that looks good from almost every angle. Yeah. Almost.
Yeah, but the next picture is kind of again, I'm trying to sort of replicate the classic angle, sort of coming at you straight. And this one, you get a great indication of the holes in the saucer. Now, these were wonderfully done by a friend of mine to be really neat. I mean, he did a wonderful job actually put the grooves in, because that gives it a more 3D feel. And straight away, I mean, it's a bit random. And to be fair, there was that, which I believe you do have a lit up version of the ship. It's a licensed product of a ship, a Connie on its side, and it lights up blue, similar to the Connie behind you. But it's actually a version that is a non-official version with cutouts on the saucer. And it's like, why using a fan version as a license? Yeah,
I've seen those online. Yeah, exactly. It's based on concept art, actually.
Yeah, but that specific version was a fan version. So it's like, well, the cutouts have existed before, so I can imagine they pulled from other sources.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily see a value. Although someone to point out that what if they're not cutouts? What if they've actually armoured up the bits in front of them? But based on the wireframe, the scaling wouldn't make sense for that. I would be totally fine if it was, you know, but maybe you add, well, like I said, I mean, could you imagine adding like 18 torpedo launchers on the outer rim or phases? I mean, you could really deck this thing out to be murderous.
I suppose.
What do you think of this view? You know, that again, this is where you see the pylons really different, and the different angles and the stoutness. And
here, I don't like the pylon look. It kind of falls apart for me a little bit, and the front there, those cutouts and those trenches just seem very unnecessary. Just as they are blank there like that. Now, like we said, there could be weapons in there, torpedo launchers or phasers or something, but we just smoothed it over to make it look.
Interesting theory. What if those are actually shuttle bay doors or fighter doors? Sorry, and they've because again, skeleton. I mean, 400 crew. If you're only going to have your top 100 trusted people on board the ship, you make the outer rim of the saucer hollow, and you have, you know, couple of fighters.
That's pretty cool, actually. Like Viper launch tubes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because if you pad out a contemporary fighter, and then give it the TOS shield grid, TOS phasers, even in part, that still outweigh, you know, NX era tech. So that might still be valuable, you know, as combat strategy.
That's interesting, yeah. It'd be cool if they were kind of doors or something, yeah. The next shot is another one of the classic shots, and this one actually works really well again. The cutouts look kind of interesting and dynamic here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the Defiant model, which I absolutely love. I just get all giddy because it's actually a thing. And even the mega phasers and the strut placement or the strut angle change there looks really good from this angle. It all comes together here again. So I'm really liking it.
And disclaimer, I just put simple lights inside the facades, so that's just static orangey. I thought it would be a little bit different, so I just put my own little custom effect here. It feels more. I mean, the whole point about what we can tell this design is tacked on. That's the word, tacked on. But if there's reason for that, then you look at it. It's like, well, all these extra pieces, the ship feels more functional. It has more of a presence. I do like the impulse engine. Also, I like the bigger drive. I mean, why wouldn't you? If you can make it, if it's already the most maneuverable, if you can enhance that, give it more phases. I mean, why wouldn't you? It should be even more ridiculous.
Next picture is a shot of a really nice shot of the mega phasers. If that's what they are, that's what we're calling them.
It makes sense.
They could be articulation points. Maybe they made it so that they articulate for some strange, odd reason. I don't know.
No, that's interesting.
Well, it makes more sense that they're phasers feeding into the warp plasma feeds.
Yeah,
that's just the thing that makes sense to increase power. So, but yeah, I like the shot here again. That longer impulse deck I think really works on this design, and I wouldn't have a problem seeing that incorporated into actual TOS versions of ships, like bulkier ships. I think it'd be cool.
And obviously, you would want to elongate the blue parts to make it more. That obviously is just a stretched version. Which, to be fair, that is a design similar to one of the J.J. Abrams. They did make a full outer ring impulse drive. So again, these things, when done in a TOS way, can still fit in. There's points we do it a bit too far. But yeah, that shape, to a certain level, actually can work really well. But Stuart, the moment we've all been waiting for, we've seen this ship from other angles, given it a whole new life, I think. Sort of a cannon skin. Let's look in comparisons. The next view is a side by side, and we can see more obviously the changes. And actually, it is more changed than I think you would think. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, I'm really digging this. Like I said, the more squat profile looks meaner, looks more rugged, and it looks like something that could really tangle with other ships. I kind of get a Bill Krause Sentinel vibe, though. It's got that longer, squat body, and it's very much like that kind of design. So if they went with that, that's cool. Wow. I don't know what to say. This could fit into a TOS fleet. Take away the mega phasers or whatever,
Or just integrate them better.
Yeah. And I think, wow. I mean, I'm impressed. I really like this. I like this a lot.
This is why, you can be reactionary to things, but we don't, as Trekyards, we don't say, oh, I hate that, it's rubbish, blah, 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 blah. We try and look, we try and analyse, try and think, and then actually put the effort in to bring other stuff to it. Actually, you look at it in other ways, it's like, oh, okay, that's really interesting, I mean, to be fair, and some people, obviously we were in the comments of the original video, some people, not many, were complaining about how old, outdated the TOS Connie feels, and this version fixes the nacelles by the pylons to make it feel more realistic and less like it'll just break apart. And obviously it's the future, that's ridiculous. Of course they're designed that way. But looking at this, does it make it feel more functional? They've now fixed the struts, they fixed the neck, they've, what do you think?
Yeah, it feels more designed for combat here. Seems like it would be much more maneuverable, less chance of a breakdown if it does a high energy turn, things like that. Very much short, stocky, and built for a fight. And I think that very much fits in with the whole Mirror Universe philosophy, right? So if that's the way they went, and if this is how it actually looks, I have no problem with that.
As long as there's stuff in the cars of the saucer.
Right. And I'm sure there is. I mean, it's an obvious choice that doesn't really, it's not a form follows function, right? So there's got to be something there, in my opinion. So,
and you recall what everyone said about the Discovery. Why the holes in the saucer? Why the holes? Because it spins.
Yeah.
I mean, form follows function. There has to be that to allow the thing to do the thing. Okay, you could design it around without that, but I mean that was just an easier way of letting it spin. I mean that's just follows function. So, yeah, but let's go into the next view, the top view. I haven't actually looked at these yet. I rendered them. I haven't actually looked at it yet. Huh. See, that impulse deck just really looks good.
Yeah.
It's a bit... I mean, you also want it integrated more or change the source a little bit. It doesn't quite work, but it can't. It's a kit bash. It can't work 100%, but give it that punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the impulse deck looks really impressive, as I've said. And those very
Impressive
thick...
is a good word. Yeah.
And those very thick struts, I really like those because it's a kind of a callback to the Federation Dreadnought class that had the thicker struts. And they look more robust. They look like they can handle more plasma feeds, maybe pump more energy into those nacelles. And it just works. The cutouts even look kind of cool from the top. So yeah, I like it. I very much like this design.
When you canonize their take and show it, new perspectives can be done. You know, and it's interesting. This one you really do see how the nacelles, because again, I try to match it. They've actually been made more sleek, more thinner. That gives it a different feel as well. But yeah, it feels like you say. This, if I almost wish that the Defiant hadn't been what it was called, you know, or if it was Defiant A, you know, they took, 20 years later, they'd managed to take all the tech apart. They knew that shape worked, so they're going to stick with that shape because they want to rule the Empire, whatever. They designed a Phase 2 Gen version, which is, the Federation never designed one for combat. They designed it to be an all-round, well-working ship. But what if you did design a next-gen Connie to be a combat vessel? And it obviously had to look and feel similar because it obviously worked in similar pieces. That is like, oh, okay.
And it's almost kind of like what you said earlier about moving the warp nacelles down. It almost is like a TOS version of the Sovereign class. Much more, squat and
speaking
robust.
of, Stuart, next picture, you've preempted that perfectly. And again, when working this in 3D kit bashing, you don't see how it's all going to feel. But actually, yes, that's exactly. That's pretty drastic, to be honest. But as you were saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
I like it. I like it. See, and this could fit in with the TOS fleet as being like a strike cruiser or, something like that. There are...
Or tactical heavy cruiser.
Yeah, exactly. There are ships in FASA and Starfleet battles that this reminds me of. I just can't think of the names offhand, but... and it's a mean-looking ship, and it's designed for a purpose. Whether they would actually cut apart a Connie like that, probably not right away. She'd probably use it to, solidify her power, and then start kind of make modifications slowly but surely. So I don't know. It's a lot of modifications, though.
Well, that's why I wish A, it hadn't been the Defiant, it should be the Defiant A. That would solve that issue, and B, I wish Enterprise had gone into that backstory more. Taken the season 5 and had 6 episodes in the Mirror Universe, doing a mini arc would be just tremendous. They can go anywhere from here, and so that's why you shouldn't jump to conclusions, because it could be anything. It's a little bit limiting to have it just be the Defiant, and yeah, okay, now they've got to modify just the space frame, and well, maybe as you coined the Frankenstein ship, or if this is the 70 years in, 2 emperors worth of retrofitting, it would look quite different. But it's kind of amazing though when you. Because again, I was building it to look from that one perspective. That was the point. But when you do it like this, okay, now you've taken out so much of the neck, and yet the engines are still on that line. So you've really brought everything just dramatically down. It's not a short task. You really, and that's why having the alternating angle engines, pylons. Sorry, that helps you have that curve. It actually out farther.
Yeah, exactly. It actually maintains the one of the rules for the design of a starship: line of sight for the Bassard collectors. They have to face forward and not be blocked by anything. So that's why they curve those. That's exactly why.
And for the megaphases, line of sight, line of not going to shoot your own ship. And again,
exactly.
I didn't build it, but I didn't build it with that in mind. But I got the angles, I guess, right enough with the perspective. It's still got line of destruction.
Very cool.
So I guess next picture is the last picture is the original. If you want to just cut back to the wireframe as well, right now just final comparison. I'm pretty proud of my kit bash here as one of my first full length kit bashes, and it's and this is not, I couldn't get the same angle. That was actually really tricky because it seems like you don't know what millimeter lens they're using, and that radically changes the perspective of how you can do. So based on other shots, I felt like the pylons were right and such. So it's really difficult. This is roughly right. But yeah, I mean, you sound like you like it more now, Stuart.
Yes. As usual, when we take a look at things, I sometimes like it more, and this is one of those cases. If it looks like this,
Which it won't.
I have this impression when we see it, I might be going, I'm disappointed again. But yeah, each of these changes can be justified for whatever reason. Adding more power, adding more weapons, increasing the speed, messing with the warp profile, things like that. These can all be justified within canon, more so than for the sake of just changing the design to change it, which seems to be what they want to do with a lot of things.
Visual reboot.
Klingon ships in particular, right?
Yeah, just visual reboot for a modern age. But what we've shown here is that if you make, and again, this is literally the real Defiant, if you literally kit bash and mimic the design as seen, but with the correct components, the design can work. The design itself is not faulty, it's that we don't see it in its proper TOS light. You give it the TOS skin, and guys, you'll note that today we've released a couple of animations of this ship, see it in motion. So tune into all those, because a whole different perspective of seeing it fly past camera, and it can look pretty good. Again, flaws, but flaws in all things until we know what they do. So yeah, but yeah, it's not as bad as I thought, and I kind of like some angles. And again, as I said in the original one, thank God it looks as similar as it does. One of the rules of the design team was no circle nacelles, no spheres, no whatevers. That obviously limited them hugely with a cannon. They kept that here at least, and just knowing how challenging that initial design brief was, and again, a lot of it was Brian Fuller. His instructions, echoing down, no longer have that, so they don't need to necessarily follow his rules. But they're not messing with as many things as they could do, and we're not apologists. We're just showing what it could look like, and at the end of the day, we're just going by the rules they said. It's prime canon that fits in. Okay, well, hey, it's your choice to not call it reboot and give yourself these issues. It's not our choice.
Exactly.
Closing thoughts, Stuart. As the Connie official, expert you are.
Yay. Closing thoughts is, like I said, I mean, there could be perfectly fine explanations for all this in universe, and in the mirror universe in particular, why these changes were made. And I hope we get that. I hope it's something that looks very similar to the Defiant we know and love. I mean, there's subtle little changes here and there, maybe a new paint scheme, but not new materials, not radically out of the box. I'd be happy. And I know from seeing it in 3D and seeing some movement on it that it does look very dynamic and cool from a lot of different angles. So as a completely new design, this is fantastic. But I know a lot of people have the hashtag not my Connie kind of thing going on, and it's like, well, you got to take what comes, and then let's make it work. And
remember, it's not your Connie, it's a mirror Connie.
Right.
From years of changes. So no, it's not your Connie.
Yeah. But I would have liked to see just a regular Constitution class. But again, it could be just modified. So there you go. That's my closing thoughts. There's lots of hope. I want to see it.
And a couple of days we might find out. I don't think it'll be in the next episode. I think it might be right at the end, if at all. But I'm excited, and I can't wait for more. So, guys, if you want to support this show, and do honestly get the word out about this ship, because this was a lot of fun to make this model and show it to the fans to say, well, maybe it's not as bad as you think. When done, canonically, right. If you want to support this show, you can share it anywhere you think fans would enjoy it. Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, Instagram, Snapchat. I think you can send messages on Snapchat. Send to your favourite Snap friend. Reddit, obviously, Kotaku, anywhere that you can post anything. Even in comments, check out the Trekyards Connie custom Connie, and all that helps to grow this channel and get people to hear the good Trekyards news. And again, thank you to Shay Walker for letting us show off his original version, because it was cool.
Absolutely. And if you want to help us out in other ways, you can do so by heading on over to trekyards.com and clicking the donate button, or click the link below for the Patreon, and then you can put us out on a monthly basis, and that basically just makes sure that we have time, like Samuel has time to cut apart models and kit bash them to look like things that they should look like. And we love bringing the show to you and showing you all this cool stuff, and it's cool to visualize this. It really is, to see it before they get a chance to show it to us, kind of get a speculative view on it. So thank you very much, Samuel, and thank you to all of you guys out there who do help us out. It's very much appreciated. And anything helps. Even $1 a month, you know, it all helps. So anyway, guys, please leave a like and share and all that jazz. Subscribe too if you haven't. But anyway, until next time, I'm Captain Foley.
And I am Connor Hungs.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.